I think the thing that's confronting about podcasting is that this is quite personal. Like, whereas you've been in media, and there's Kayla Banfield, the interviewer and the news reporter, but you're rarely in front of the camera
talking about
your own stuff.
And everything that I've done has been scripted, and I've always been a scripted presenter. Like, people would say to me, just talk off the cuff, just go, and I would say, I can't do it. I can't do that. I have to script myself, and I did really well with a script.
Sure.
But when I had to go off the cuff, I really struggled, and I think for me this was a new area and something that I didn't prepare for, obviously, and as a result made some mistakes and have now learnt from these mistakes, and now I'm thinking to myself, don't say
Third podcast.
Yes,
lucky.
Third time lucky.
What was the other one you did just before I give you a proper and nice introduction that you deserve?
It was with Digital Noir, and they were a company that worked in the same building as when the Method started, and so had a bit of a personal relationship with them, and they had a podcast on weekly, and then I went on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let me give you the introduction you deserve.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kayla Banfield. That's about all I have at this point. No.
That's fine.
So, I talked to you off air before that I was keen to get you on because this show has been about giving people within our community a voice who perhaps haven't had the voice that I feel they deserve. We've both been around this scene for a very long time.
Yeah.
Did we figure out what year it was that we were on that level 1 together?
I think, I started CrossFit in 2012, and I was a frother. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, so I really think that I probably did my level 1 that same year. So I think it was 2012, if not, it was 2013.
I reckon. And now we are in with people here and coffee and all that. We're in your affiliate.
Yes.
So the name of your affiliate it was CrossFit Mode, but it's recently changed to Soul 365.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So you're an affiliate owner first.
Yeah.
You've also worked for CrossFit Media. And how long were you in the States for?
As in each time I was doing, or as in when...
For extended periods of time, I thought.
Yes, so I started off doing regionals in Australia, and then I started doing the games in America, then I started doing regionals and the games in America, and I was there for anywhere from 4 to I think 7 weeks was the longest period of time I was there for one regionals, because I did the 3 weeks and then the 2 weeks before, and
Forgive Kayla, she's like, there's like a bunch of people here. It's 3 p.m. on Friday. I'm going to send an affiliate that's busy at this time. But
it's happening, and we're in town as well, in the city, so a lot of people are knocking off early, coming in to do their workout.
It's a beautiful day in Adelaide as well.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we've got that CrossFit. We're going to explore all this stuff a bit more. We've got the CrossFit Media thing. We've got the affiliate owner thing. Now, more recently, the Method.
Yes.
Talk to me about like what that is, and just give me a brief synopsis. We'll explore it a bit more later as well.
So the Method is an online nutrition company. We work one-on-one with our clients. I've got a team of amazing coaches who work with our clients via correspondence or over email on all things nutrition, but I'd be lying if I said it was just nutrition. It's basically everything lifestyle.
That's the feeling I get from that. My insight to it anyway. So you've got that, and then somewhat related to that, my understanding is that you have a degree in nutrition. Is there a nutrition background?
Just a love for nutrition, really.
I think that's what I first identified with you when we talked on the level 1. Like, you've always had a passion for that.
I've got a degree in arts, so Bachelor of Arts, and then I've studied nutrition over the last 5 years.
Awesome.
But I actually don't personally coach anymore, so I started, really interested in nutrition, and then that kind of found me in the entrepreneur role where I became really interested in business, and then recognised that there were people out there that were actually far better nutrition coaches than I was and more passionate, and so I did the whole playing to my strengths thing where I hired people to do the nutrition coaching, laid the foundation for them, and then moved into the business position, that I think that I thrive or I enjoy a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's amongst other things why I'm really keen to talk to you, because you've been so entrepreneurial in this space. And I'm really interested in like anybody who starts things like that out of what was originally just a love for CrossFit, just like, hey, I like thrusters and pull-ups, and now all of a sudden there's got a life for yourself around that thing, which is really, really cool.
And I think that's where you have the most success, is where you genuinely love something and you put out a product and people can tell that you care about them and you care about the results. And the Method started as just helping out our CrossFit members when they'd say, what do I do with nutrition? And I was like, gosh, I don't know. So I do the research and I'm like, hey, here's something that has work for me, and then people actually wanting to book appointments with me, and so seeing people while I was doing the reception at the gym and going back and forth between that and going, this is not a very practical way for me to help the most people that I can, and going, oh my God, there's an online space that would work really well for this. And it's just organically grown because I guess because of the passion and because of the love for it.
I was going to ask you, like, there's not much of this sounds, and I mean this in the nicest way, planned.
Yep.
Like it sort of has happened as a result of, right, there seems to be a need here amongst our community. I'm going to fulfill that need. Next thing you know, you're fulfilling that need for thousands of people. Sometimes
I'm shocked. I feel like so many of the things in my life have happened by accident. Like sometimes I'll just find myself thinking, how did I end up here? And like, how has this, it feels like things have just landed on my lap. I'm sure that's not how it works. I'm sure there's some kind of thing that you put out into the universe and things happen to you, that kind of thing. But I've, excuse me, haven't planned a lot of it. I've never been the whole kind of like business plan, kind of 5-year, 10-year plan kind of person. It's just been kind of like roll with the punches and kind of go for it.
I think with people like you observing from the outside, we can all see why those things have worked the way they have for you.
Yeah.
But then when you have to try and assess it yourself, you're just like, how did I end up in this situation?
100%. Feels a bit like that.
Okay, I want to get down to some of the nitty-gritty stuff. I'm going to start with the method actually, because you mentioned it before, and you're speaking to somebody who is already converted about this, but you're not a nutrition. You're not a nutrition. You're not a nutritionist. You're not a dietitian.
No.
You're not a doctor.
No.
So in a space where I know a lot of those people potentially would first and foremost say that to you when you're like, hey, I can help with your nutrition.
Yeah.
What's your response to that sort of criticism or the criticisms that they can throw?
I guess, a lot of the service that we provide isn't telling people what to eat, because at the end of the day, we assume that most of the people that we work with have a pretty good understanding of what to do. But it's about like breaking that barrier between why they know what they need to do and why they're not doing what they know they need to do.
Yes.
And so it's about breaking down their day-to-day life, their behaviours, their habits, if their goals are realistic, and being a sounding board for people and providing a mirror for them to do some self-reflection. Like, I find the best coaching is where you allow people to bring out the answer in themselves.
Okay.
So they find their own solutions as opposed to us saying, hey, you need to do this. So we're not a company that says, okay, here are your stats, so here's your nutrition plan. We don't write nutrition plans.
Right.
It's not about that. It's about, helping people find what's best for them, and we can give them suggestions and share resources with them to allow themselves to self-educate.
To find out the answer themselves.
Along with some guidance, and although I'm not a nutritionist, we do have nutritionists and dietitians within our staff. So if someone says, I want a dietitian, I want a meal plan, I want to know exactly what to eat, we can cater for that. But I didn't start as someone that was like, I want to tell you what to eat. It was more lifestyle coaching.
It feels to me in the nutrition space like the solution itself isn't that complex, but actually implementing the solution is like, I don't want to simplify it too much, but it's like McDonald's bad, fruit and vegetables good, but the decision-making process of people between those two things is the thing that becomes really tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. And like on top of that as well, it's about understanding what people's idea of good and bad is, and also like bringing an expectation from people, because everyone is like, well, this is bad and that is good, and if I do that, I'm a bad person, and if I do that, I'm a good person, and it's not that simple. Half the time it's just like breaking down these expectations from people and reframing for them what perfect is, because we're, as humans, I feel like we really want to be this extreme perfect person, when in reality someone who's sitting right here, like halfway between that, is actually going to be a lot happier than that person that's constantly striving for perfection and not getting it. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's about trying to figure out where people are actually trying to go, if that's realistic, and then maybe breaking that down to something that's a little bit more achievable for them.
Do you find yourself just as often pushing the person who's super disciplined into the space of, hey, it's okay to every now and then stray, as you do trying to push someone who's not disciplined into being disciplined? Like both?
I'd say that it's, I wouldn't know, whether it's an even split or not, but there are so many times where you have to say to someone, like, just relax, like, enjoy your life. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to say, eat more bad food or do more bad things or whatever, but it's like, just, go easy on yourself and, be kind to yourself, and what you're doing is really good. Like, so many people are so hard on themselves, they never feel like they're doing the right thing. So just saying to them, you did a great job, is sometimes what people need to hear.
What you're saying about food and nutrition, to me, as a, like, I've worked with people on food as a CrossFit coach does, but I find myself having to give similar advice as a coach to people in their CrossFit endeavours. It's like, hey, you just PB'd by a fair bit. I need you to stop being so
hard on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So where does that, like, I'm asking to myself actually, where does that come from? That, like, this isn't good enough. Like, we're better than ever through CrossFit and nutrition, so why is it not enough?
I don't know. Maybe it's because people think that those that are successful are perfect. Like, maybe they look at someone like James and they're like, oh, I'd love to be like James because he's perfect.
Beat me to it. I was
sorry.
Going to
ask Is that where you're going?
Yes, of course it was.
Sorry.
We'll talk about... Okay, anyway, keep going.
Yeah, like, maybe people think that to be successful, you have to be perfect. And you have to get everything right, when God knows that none of us get everything right. And the most successful people probably fail the most. And so I feel like maybe it's not it's not being able to see the complete picture of successful people and what's involved in getting to that point. Maybe that I'm speculating.
I think it's a fair speculation. I recently had a really great chat with a regionals and sanctionals athlete, Tara. She finished in the top 10, and she was just talking to me about how, like, there's this facade that's put up, mainly on things like social media, of like 100%. Perfection, and she was like, God, there was just so many hard times in getting to sanctionals and then being successful. And look, it's probably time, like, just for the listeners who perhaps don't know, so your partner James is probably pushing towards Rob Forte as one of the most successful Australian CrossFitters we've ever seen. The stats would be right up there. So when you've got someone like James who is so successful, such a nice guy, great shape, it's like, well, how do you balance out that? Don't be too hard on yourself. By the way, my partner's this dude here.
How do I balance that?
I guess so. Like, well, I guess you know James intimately, so you know that it's not all...
It's probably a good thing that I know him intimately, because I've seen his successes and I've seen what it takes to get there.
So do you let people know about that, I guess?
100%, absolutely. Like, you know, I've got a lot of friends that are sanctionals athletes as well and trying to make the CrossFit Games, and, you know, some of which are like, I've been doing this for 3 years and I haven't made the CrossFit Games. And I'm like, James was knocking on the door of the CrossFit Games for so many years, and we had our lowest lows in probably the year before he qualified for the CrossFit Games, because it's just really hard.
It's really hard, and what I think what people who potentially see CrossFit in the last few years don't realise is that there was a period of time when you and me were going to regionals, and James was, well, there was a period where he wasn't in contention, and then there was a period where he was in contention, but it's like, is this guy ever going to make it? Now he's dominant, but he wasn't like that for a very long time.
And I keep telling him that about the Games as well, because he has not been satisfied with his CrossFit Games appearances to this day. So he's had, I think, a 27th, a 25th and a 17th, and he's kind of in that stage now where he's like, I'm not in contention for winning the CrossFit Games. And I'm like, the same thing happened, you know, in regionals. But then there's that question, is how long can you do this for? Rich Froning said, it's not my body that gave out, it's my mind. So at what point do you say it's too hard?
James is a bit younger than I thought he was, actually.
He's 28.
I mean, I thought I was younger, but I'm not. Anyway, but he's like, he competes with such experience that sometimes you're like, you forget how long he's been around, and he's still got plenty of time to make a good run at the CrossFit Games. Just while we're on it, it's a bit of a stray. I'll never forget your reaction when you qualified, because I knew what it had been like for you guys. He was very close to you before, and I almost felt like, for you, it was more emotional experience than it was for him.
Just hearing you say that, like, almost makes me want to cry.
I'm blowing up, so talk me through, because I actually even know the circumstances behind that last event. He was no shooing going in. It was a little bit shaky.
And I have like 2 events in my whole life that I can say were the most, I don't know what the word is for it, but like the most remarkable, unforgettable, amazing experiences of my life. And one was getting a job on Totally Wild on TV. Like, that was just like the best experience ever. And the second one was when James qualified qualified for the CrossFit Games, it felt like it was, like you said, just as much my goal, if not, I can't say it was more my goal, but I felt just as, driven towards this goal as he did, and it affected me as much as it affected him, and it felt like a partnership going through that whole thing. And knowing that it was such a big thing for him, obviously it was a big thing for me as well. But I remember I don't know if they do this anymore, but they counted back from 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and
I remember it because I announced it.
Yes, okay, well there you go. He didn't get in 5th place, he didn't get in 4th place, and like you said, it wasn't a shoo-in, he didn't get in 3rd place, and like my heart was just, it just
He came
stung.
2nd, and that was a big jump.
Yes.
Like, it was sort of like really his 2nd. And
it was kind of unexpected. I thought, he would scrape in 5th or 4th or maybe 3rd or something.
There's two people that I vividly remember being like, this is going to be an absolute pleasure to announce that they've finally made it. And James was one of them. The other one was Jess Coughlin. It was sort of somewhat similar experience, probably more so than James. It took her longer again, but just like getting people to finally realise those goals is pretty special. Sorry, this is not my podcast.
No, it's our podcast. We're sharing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kayla. Now, I want to circle back to something. So, this goal of getting, your partner to the CrossFit Games or working with him to get there, and all the emotional highs and lows, and we've talked about not being too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's through the method or through CrossFit or whatever, do you believe that everybody needs a coach?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have a coach?
Yes.
I know you do.
I do.
I know you're a coach.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And what does...
Do you mean nutrition or just in general coaching?
I guess you talked through before that a coach in the method would be doing more than just nutrition.
Yeah.
So the person who does your nutrition, they don't just do your nutrition. Do you use them as a bit of a sounding board, as you said?
Yes. So I work with Kate, one of my coaches from the method.
Yep.
She coaches me through nutrition, but she coaches me through everything else as well. I also work with someone who's an NLP practitioner, and he's a lot on mindset stuff.
Okay.
And I see him semi-regularly, or if and when I feel like I need to, and I kind of see him as a bit of a high-performance coach.
Sure.
And I just feel like, everyone could benefit from being kept accountable.
Yes.
And also who's not emotionally involved in your life, because I feel like they're able to lay things out for you, and then piece it back together in a way that we kind of sometimes can't do ourselves.
So you not purposefully, but somewhat disengaged from being coached by a person who knew you more intimately, because that would be problematic. You said this person...
Not necessarily. I've just worked with this guy, his name's Ben Elliott, for 5 years.
Okay.
And I just love his sessions.
Right,
Just
so there was no
the best out of
prior
me.
relationships, it was just this guy's amazing.
He was
what
recommended
he
by someone, and I go in there with like just a muddled brain and all these problems, and we talk through them, and he just has an answer for everything, and it might not necessarily be a solution, but it's like almost like it's like he's rationalizing why things are happening and allowing me to see beyond that problem towards the future. So, and like I said, takes the emotion out of it.
Are you surprised? Because I know the method works with a lot of very high-level athletes, CrossFit Games, and I'm sure, you don't want to divulge any privacy or anything like that, but are you at times surprised with how the Games athlete and the person that would like to lose 5 kilos are basically giving the same feedback to their coach?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. They're almost the same person. And I can't quite figure out what, there's a lot of things that differentiates the two of them, but like we said before, successful people, CrossFit Games athletes, they all have the same issues that we do, and they all present the same problems, and we all need a very similar kind of support no matter where we are. So yeah, it's been really eye-opening.
That's cool. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit on you right now.
Go for it.
You've done all the things that we're talking about right now, like the method and getting James to the Games, whilst there's been some other things going on in the background. Like, talk to me about the gym. Like, you opened the gym in 12, did you say?
Yeah.
And has it gone? Like, this is an unbelievable space. Like, was this always? I know I asked you about plan before.
Yeah, no. The same thing happened with the gym. There was no plan. There was a passion for fitness and a desire to provide a facility for people that we wanted to train in. So one thing that James has always done, and it's kind of more, the gym is a little bit more his baby and the method's a little bit more mine, but we cross over and support each other with both of them. But for him, he's always wanted to provide a place that he would want to go to. So obviously him being an athlete, he does a lot more recovery than the average person, and so I feel like we have a huge focus on recovery, and we'd like to make the average person focus on recovery as much as James does.
So James provides some insight to certain things that perhaps your average punter doesn't think about.
Yeah.
Has there ever been and this is probably a question for James, but I guess
I can probably answer it.
That's right. Have you ever been mindful of that? Well, we know that not everyone's like James.
Yeah.
By the way, he's one of the most down-to-earth games athletes. I mean, I don't know that many games athletes, but I know enough to know that he's pretty bloody down-to-earth.
Yeah.
Have you been mindful of his role in that type of stuff?
As in the fact that he's different? Or
in terms of the fact that his goal is, and rightfully and realistically, to probably win the CrossFit Games, and that's not many people's goals.
Yes, definitely. And I do think that he's wired a little differently, but I don't think that you can't teach yourself to be more like James.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that just because you're not wired like James doesn't mean that you can't have a similar success to him.
Yeah.
He's very obsessive about, when he wants to do something, nothing gets in his way, and that's provided him a pathway towards his goals. But I have never met anyone like him who is as, no matter what happens, I will still do the things that I need to do. His goals are so clear in his mind every day, whereas I find with other people, they may want to do something until something else happens or something else gets in the way.
Okay.
Whereas it's almost like James wakes up with just the most freshest picture of what he is working towards every single day, and that is just filtered in front of anything else that might come his way.
Right. And what about the person who's trying to get to the gym that has 3 kids and isn't training for the CrossFit Games? How do you map over that sort of steely determination that James has, and sort of is that embedded into the community a little bit? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's goals are just as important as James's, as I'm sure you will agree. Just because his goals might be considered more unique, they're not any more important than anyone else's goals. And so you can apply that same kind of mindset towards, if it's not the CrossFit Games, maybe it is losing 5 kilos, or maybe it is being a better person, or maybe it is running a really successful business, or creating a loving family. Whatever you're living for every single day can be just as clear to you as making the CrossFit Games is to James. And I think hanging around James, that rubs off on you a little bit. Sometimes it's disheartening because he's so dedicated, and I found myself in this place so many times where I'm like, I suck, because he is just so good, and I compare myself, and I'm like, I'm not as dedicated as he is, and I have to talk myself through that.
That comes back to, I guess, that idea we were talking about earlier of just hey, you're actually doing a really good job. Stop the coach might sometimes be hey, stop beating yourself up for that.
Do you know, as a coach as well, the number of times I need to hear my own advice. One of my favourite things about coaching people is that I'll have a brainwave for someone else, and I'll go, wait a minute, this applies to my life immediately right now. Take on my own advice. We never take on our own advice, but when you're forced to actually listen to someone else and put it down on paper, the number of times I say to, or when I was coaching people, I need to hear this too. This is just as much for me as it is for you right now, which is why I need a coach, because I know it, but I don't always absorb it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, often in an affiliate scenario for me where I'm trying to talk someone off a ledge about something, I'm like, this is advice
wait a minute,
I really need to hear right now. Am I talking to myself? But that's part of the coaching process, and I'm really, I've got a huge amount of respect for the approach the method is taking, because it sounds quite holistic to me, as opposed to just this, it's not just squats and deadlifts in CrossFit, it's not just vegetables and nuts.
And it's about really understanding the person that you're working with as well. It's about, and which is challenging over online, because it's hard to get to know people. So that's where language and being able to read between the lines with people's check-ins is a really powerful tool. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, so I got a bit of a croaky throat.
Really?
Yeah, got it from coming back from Japan.
Anyway, keep going.
But what was I saying? Reading between the lines.
It's difficult to do that type of stuff over the internet.
Yeah, so it's about understanding your client as well, and not just reading the numbers and saying, here's how much you weigh, here's how much you eat, here's what you need to be doing. It's knowing what advice is appropriate and going to actually work with that person, and you can't give too little and you can't give too much. It's that Goldilocks kind of you've got to break through that barrier and make someone want to do the advice that you're giving and not give them too much and not give them too little.
Did coaching here help you with coaching with the method, or did you have to relearn the process?
I feel like it was a relearning thing, and I feel like it's really different, and I feel like it's ignited something inside of me that really wants to understand people a little bit better. And I've been thinking about studying psychology because I'm very interested in why people do the things that they do.
Yes.
And I feel like I learned things about myself that I didn't even know that I had through the process of coaching other people, but it felt like it was born through the method.
Like I said, at the start of the podcast, I mentioned that you have a nutrition degree because I remember you speaking so passionately about nutrition the first time I met you, and it hasn't changed 7 years later.
I've never been a massive fan of a piece of paper for the sake of a piece of paper. I know that there are some people out there that will disagree with me, and personally, that's one of the reasons I stepped away from the method, is because I wanted to do things properly, and I did find that I was really interested.
That process.
Yeah, I was really interested in the the business side of things, but no, never studied it, and have felt like I've done a lot of my own research, and I feel like the advice that I give is appropriate for the knowledge that I have. So I'm not trying to treat any diseases or cure. No, and we're very specific about the advice that we give, and like I said, it's a very little to do with nutrition, and it's a lot to do with lifestyle, behaviour, habits, just feeling good about yourself, and then making decisions based on what you know is good for yourself, not what someone else tells you is good for you.
To summarise again, it just feels like the solution to this problem is most of the time very so simply elegant, of like, hey, can you please just eat some real food in an amount that suits you, but actually actioning that is where you guys come in.
Exactly. It's figuring out how to facilitate that change, and it's really cool when you do.
We are going to take a quick break for multiple reasons.
Sure.
I need to get the sponsors in, and two, I need to make sure that my camera doesn't switch off, so bear with me, folks. Hey guys, use the code pounds to kilos when signing up for the method and receive $5 off your weekly membership cost for the entire lifetime of your membership. Enjoy. Are we still on?
You're the professional, but I see the word rec and I see numbers counting up. I conclude that we are recording.
Excellent. Well, okay. It's funny you say that I'm the professional because that's where I want the second half of this podcast to go.
Cool.
You were on Totally Wild, and that was like, it's Totally Wild.
What was it?
Yeah.
It's an Australian kids TV show. It's been around for, I believe it's maybe like 23 years now. We had our 20th anniversary while I was working there, so I grew up with it as a kid, which I think was even more special to me.
Yes, I grew up with it too.
Yeah, experiencing it as a child and then being able to work on it.
How long did you work on it?
2 years. 2 years. Yeah. So I had a 2-year contract, and then I decided not to renew after that. But it was such a cool job to have.
So this, I guess, ignited somewhat of a passion for like presenting and media in general. And you were able to take that and put that together with CrossFit, and for a long time, I hope this doesn't offend you, you were known as the purple hair girl on the CrossFit Games show.
And unfortunately I did it for that reason, to be known as the purple hair girl. I know it's pathetic.
I love that you're owning that.
I did it to be recognised, to be known, to stand out from the crowd, and maybe it was an attention seeking thing, but it worked.
I think it's just cool that you're just calling it what it is.
100%.
And it definitely did work. There's no doubt that it did. How did you talk to me about how you got into the media scene of CrossFit?
I'll try to keep this really brief because it's a bit of a story.
That's okay.
So I worked on Totally Wild for 2 years, and then I basically moved straight from that into running the gym with James. And then James made his first regionals in 2012, and I thought to myself, I still love media and I love CrossFit. How can I bring these two together? And I spoke to James about it, and he had conveniently been coached by Mick Shaw, who still runs the Down Under CrossFit Championship, but was the regional director at the Australian regionals for whatever it is, as long as it's been around. And he gave me Mick's email address, and said, shoot him an email. So I said, hey Mick, my name's Kayla, love CrossFit, love media, I'd love to work backstage. I'm happy to just volunteer, I want to be involved. And he was like, cool, just come on down. Just come down, we'll find some work for you and we'll see what we can do. So I'm pretty sure this was 2013. I rocked up and they said, all right, cool, you're taking the mic, you're emceeing on Friday.
Wow.
And so I got out on the floor, I emceed, and I absolutely hated it. Like, I admire you. I emceed for one day.
Amazing.
One day in 2013. And it was the worst experience of my life. I hate audiences, I hate being live. Like I said, I hate off the cuff.
Why was it so bad?
I don't know.
You're so good at, like, everything you said so far has been captivating, and I can only imagine that with CrossFit it would be just as good. So
I don't know. I think that I have a real issue, a confidence issue. Like, I don't know what it is, but my nerves just sometimes get the better of me. In the right environment, they get the better of me. Right now, I'm comfortable, it's fine. But when I'm thrown way out of my comfort zone, my nerves will destroy me.
We will come back to this MC's fiasco because I need to know more about that.
Yeah.
But
you're a way better MC than I ever was, so you can have that one.
I was going to ask, did you ever get nervous before the CrossFit Games announcements?
Oh, every single time.
I know
every single time.
It was scripted, but it's like you always look so comfortable.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that because I didn't feel like I did.
Right.
As time goes, as I get more comfortable and I'm familiar with a role, I can relax a lot more.
Yep.
But I was the kind of person, so I used to do theatre and I stopped being able to audition for anything because when I went to sing in my auditions, nothing came out. Like, I'm so physically affected by nerves, it's stupid.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's something that I'm still working on, and it's something that I still have to be very aware of because I can totally derail myself because of my nerves.
So what do we do in a scenario then when you can feel that coming on again? Like, does it happen still these days? Or you
No, it only happens in a really extreme circumstance, and I tend to not do those kinds of things. It's generally in like a media kind of field, and it's where there's like a big audience involved.
Okay.
Just like that's the catastrophe for me, and it's something that I would like to work through, and I have been chatting to my NLP coach about.
Oh, okay.
But it's just the perfect storm, really.
Okay.
So we can talk more about that as well if you want to.
I mean, I just think what fascinates me is that from the outside looking in, and for people that probably know you, and even if they just know you just through like that sort of interaction on the method or a social media interaction, you are so confident and so comfortable in front of that stuff. So it's just it's sort of sobering and refreshing to hear you say that and just know that everybody has nerves and everybody has a bit of performance anxiety.
100%.
Even someone as successful as yourself.
And I can get past that, and when I feel comfortable in a role, I feel in my element and in the zone, but I have to get through some shit to get there.
Okay.
And you know what? If you wanted to dig back far enough into the archives, you'd find some terrible stuff of mine online.
Okay, what's the worst mess up ever? CrossFit mess up. Just so we could keep it totally wild as well.
Yeah. Nothing any worse than stuttering, and I haven't messed up to the point where...
You haven't sworn on camera or anything like that, have you?
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that a mess up? Yeah. Nah, I don't think I have sworn. One totally wild story, I jumped out of the plane and they were like, we can't refilm this. Don't swear. So obviously I couldn't swear. Skydived. I couldn't swear. You're not allowed to. It's a
kids show.
But they said to us, we can't refilm this. We can't jump out of a plane again. So like, you have to think on the way down. Don't swear because that's what you're going to naturally do. And I didn't know what to say when I got on the floor because my natural response is just to always be like, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you can.
Well, anyway, to swear, and so, but funny story, that's kind of to the side.
So did you just jump out of the plane just like holding your breath and just like, oh my God?
Yeah. No, we couldn't even say, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Like, we're not allowed to say, oh my God. It's not swearing, but it was like lower than G.
I see.
It's like the most...
It's not rated, it's just like children
it's
can't
just
get
like, exactly, yeah. It was,
So I'm going to dig into, this is, I don't know if this will be something that you would be aware of or whatnot, but like, I became aware of this because I did one of the open announcements this year, and there's a social media reaction to pretty much anything that goes up these days. Like, it's just like a comments, just like bang.
Yeah.
You definitely got some of the good, some of the bad, and some of the in-between. And not necessarily on your delivery, but just like, there's a purple-headed Australian talking to us, I'm going to have my opinion.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that stuff?
To be honest, I don't think I ever saw a bad comment about my CrossFit Games stuff. Not to say that it wasn't out there.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit numb to the internet trolls because I'm pretty realistic in the fact that they're not real people with real opinions about me. But then in saying that, maybe if I was to see something, it might be a little bit different. Okay. So I actually don't. I've been pretty lucky in terms of feedback that I've received from people and then what I've seen.
Yeah, you've probably just been smart about like.
Yeah, but I don't go searching for that kind of stuff because it's not
going to serve you.
No, yeah, it's not my best use of time.
Look, the reason I ask is that.
Why? What did you say?
Oh no! I guess you've just been so good in all your endeavours at just putting yourself out there. Like the Mick Shaw story that you just told us is like another example. You've just been like, well, I'm just going to go for this, and if I don't get a response or I get a no, it doesn't bother you.
No, and I'll try and finish that story a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
I am a really big believer in jumping off the cliff and building the plane on the way down.
Okay.
And
did you come up with that quote yourself?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure if you search there'll be lots of infographics about it.
I'll make sure I tag it in this show. So
if there's one thing that I do well, it's taking risks.
Okay.
Because my biggest fear is living a life where I didn't feel like I met my potential, and I'm still really scared of that. I still don't think I'm meeting my potential, and that motivates me to not think. It's like the whole Mel Robbins 5-second rule. It's like, just do it.
Okay.
And it's always worked itself out. And yeah, there's been some times where I've made a fool of myself.
Yes.
But so basically, after the Friday MCing, I said to Mick, I was like, I can't do this. Like, it's just not me. It's not good for you. It's not good for me. Like, this is not something that we can do. And he said, okay, what are you comfortable doing? I'm like, behind a camera. And he goes, okay, go work with Michael McCoy and he'll figure something out. Yep. And so on the Saturday and Sunday, I basically followed him around. And then for one of the pieces, he was like, great, we're going to do a backstage tour, stand in front of the camera and show me around Wynn Entertainment Stadium.
Yep.
Pretty sure you can search that on YouTube.
Awesome.
They sent it to HQ and they really liked it. Yeah, they were really impressed with it and they said, we want to see more stuff like this.
Cool.
So in 2013, I'm pretty sure you might know this, 14 was the first year that they had the commentary team. Do you know?
That's the first year I was involved as the MC, so I'm going to say yes, because I never not remember them being around.
So I'm pretty sure in 2014 they were like, hey, we're now involving a commentary team and sideline reporting. We know you helped out last year. We liked your stuff. Would you like to be a sideline reporter? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Yep. So I did sideline reporting there, officially working for CrossFit HQ as opposed to volunteering.
Right.
In 2014. Then in 2015, I thought, I want to work at the CrossFit Games. And so I found Rory McKernan's email. I got it through asking people. And I said, hey, my name's Kayla. I've been working at regionals last year. This year, I'd really like to work at the CrossFit Games.
Sure.
And I basically got an email back, and it probably didn't happen immediately, but they said, yep, we'd love to have an Australian at the CrossFit Games. You're coming over this year.
Awesome.
So 2015, I got sent over to the CrossFit Games, and I did the regionals as well before that.
Yep.
And then I believe 2016, 17, 18, I did the same thing. I sent out an email and I said, guys, I'm loving working for you guys at regionals, but I now want to work in the studio at regionals for regionals as opposed to working just the Australian regional. And they said, no, sorry, we can't really, it's not within the budget. Sorry.
Yeah, but you ended up with that gig somehow.
Yes, and so then I went and booked my flights to America, and I said, guys, I'm going to be in America for week 1 of the regionals. I will put myself up, I will fly myself there, but I would really like to be used on set. I'll work for free. And they said, great, if you're here, we'll use you. And then make sure that you're back in time for week 2 for the Australian regionals.
Okay.
And so I slept on my friend's couch. I caught taxis into the studio, and I worked in the basically at CrossFit HQ with Brooke Ents at week 1 of regionals. Sunday night, I was packing my bags ready to go home. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
And I got an email from my boss, very CrossFit style, and he was like, hey, we want you to stay for the last 2 weeks. We'll figure stuff out in Australia. We want you on for the rest of the regionals competition.
All I remember about this, I never heard this story, but all I know is that we were meant to have you and we didn't. Like, we sort of rocked up. It's like, Kayla's not here. I'm like, awesome. Like, I was just like,
and I'd been there for the last like 3 or 4 years or whatever.
Yes.
And it was like I was going to leave Monday morning, and I got an email on Sunday night saying, "Can you stay?" And I was like, "Well, I can, but you realise that you've hired me to work in Australia." And they're like, "We'll figure it out." Okay. And so by that stage, they put me up in a hotel. They got me a car. They made it all official, and then I worked for week 2 and week 3.
It's a real experience that this was all happening so fast. Like,
it's the story of my life, is that things just happen like that. And I think it's CrossFit as well. Like, everything happens on the fly. I mean, we all kind of like we don't really know what's happening next weekend with CrossFit, and then things are happening. So it was just very, unexpected and kind of rolling.
But you were just rolling with the
rolling
punches,
with it. 100%, yeah. And then following year, 2018. It was all organised, and they said we weren't doing the studio. I came 2 weeks before. I worked for 3 weeks of regionals. I stayed, I think, a week after. Then I came back for the CrossFit Games. But it was all through basically putting myself in the position where they almost like had to say yes, and making myself known as someone who is really interested. And I've never been a good employee. Like, I've always actually been really bad, like coming in late, and I really struggled to be employed by someone. But with CrossFit, I was like an A student. I did everything because I love the company and I love the business and I love the team. Like, it was just the most amazing group of people in the media team that it was just it was a blast.
One thing I'm going to ask you about the media team. The one thing I really like about this story is that you use that analogy about like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. But I do like that after the first day of emceeing, you also called a spade a spade. You're just like, hey, this isn't for me. Like, it has to be, you still have to remain calm and calculated in those decision making stuff.
And I think when I'm under pressure, I do a lot better. Like, I make decisions, I'm a little bit more rational, and I just knew that it was like a sink or swim moment for me. It was like, if I step out on that stage again, I'm going to sink, I'm going to hate it, I'm not going to get asked back. This is going to be the end. Or I can be proactive and put myself in a position that I know I'll thrive in. And so it was like a no-brainer to me. So it was figuring it out, and then it all happened in the way that I wanted it to.
I can't have you on and not like briefly talk about the CrossFit Media team, that team you mentioned that you loved, and you mentioned a few names there that are definitely no longer involved with that team. So this year, at what point did you realise that you weren't going to be required, or that the team wasn't going to be used?
I got a series of emails over the course of the media team, departing from HQ, and it all kind of just played out really. I actually had made a decision within myself that I was going to put a pause on the media stuff that I was doing to focus on my business. So it was weird timing that it all happened the way that it did. So there was no hard feelings. But my bosses would frequently email me and say, "Hey, here's what we know. They've gotten rid of this department. Some of us are still here. We'll keep you we'll keep you tuned, basically." And then a couple of months later, it was, "Hey, okay, so we're all gone, but we may be contracted for the CrossFit Games. So just letting you know where it's at." And then the last email was basically, find yourself other work for the week of the CrossFit Games because we don't think it will be needed. So,
those people that you mentioned, like, they're very well-known and well-respected people in the community. Do you still keep in touch with those people?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I never really kept in touch with them throughout the year anyway, except for around games time. So no less than normal, but over Instagram, I'm totally supportive of what Tommy and Sean have gone and done with their podcast and, creating a media side of their own, and obviously you doing it in the Australian scene. Like, there's no reason why we can't still be the same team of people that are presenting the same information independently, and CrossFit's chosen to go down the path that it has, but the media team's not dead. We're all still
still doing what we're doing.
I love that approach. It's exciting to see, to allow people to do it themselves now as well.
It really warms my heart to hear you say that stuff, and you speak so fondly of that. Now, we were back in Wollongong this year. What was it like being back there for you?
It was interesting because, as I said, I've been in America for the last, I think it's 3 years, so I haven't been to an Australian regionals or sanctionals for a really long time. And it was really a nostalgic feeling for me, something that I've held really fondly and close to my heart that I hadn't experienced for such a long time. And I went back and no one had asked me to do the media, and I was fine with that until I got there. And then I saw people doing media, and I was like, and I was like, oh, I used to do that. But I really think it's a right time kind of thing. You know, books are always going to be hard to close, whether or not it's the right decision or not. And I do feel like it was the right decision, and I believe that's why I wasn't asked. And I also believe that it just happened a different way this year. It was just a different process. I don't think it was anything to do with me. But I saw, you know, Brittany out there interviewing, and she did an amazing job. But I couldn't help but feel like a longing to kind of be back in that role.
There's a lot of, as soon as I walked into that space, a lot of memories came flooding back. Even just like event memories, things that happened, and I just like I was fairly emotional for the first day being back there. Just like, oh man, so much of my life was created in those four walls. Like so many things happened in that stadium that are such pillars in, you know, what's happened in my life today. So, and it's really great that, you know, you're still involved, and there's still like a lot of the same team, and it felt like regionals again. It was different, but it had a really similar feeling. Well, I guess it was always going to be different, wasn't it?
For sure.
Never going to be the same.
Yeah.
You might sort of wrap up on that note of like things changing. Like without getting too philosophical, like you seem to move at such a fast rate with all your endeavours that there's must be times where you do reflect back and think about how it used to be. Sort of long for like the old days, but also know that they're the old days. Yeah, and like I'm the kind of person that every year my life gets better. Every year I learn lessons about myself and about life, and, you know, figure things out, and for me that makes every year better than the last. And I think that I'm very grateful that I'm able to look back with a smile on my past, and I don't have any really negative feelings about anything that's happened in my life, and anything that has been hard has been for a reason. But I'm always so excited about what is in the next year for me, because I feel like I'm a very driven and motivated person, and it's exciting to know what's around the corner. Mate, this has been absolutely fascinating, brilliant for me. Do you know how I normally close off the show, which hasn't been working well? I'm trying to do a conversion of someone's lift from pounds to kilos. Oh, okay. So, what did you train today? Well, I'm training for an Ironman, so God, that doesn't help me. I was on the bike and I was running. How many distance, baby? How many miles did you do on the bike today? Oh wait, how many kilometers did you do? Well, I don't know, because I rode for an hour, but I would say it would be about 20 Ks. Okay. Well, after one of my favourite podcasts, this is possibly the worst sign-off, but I'm pretty sure Kayla's done 8 miles. I'm going to go with that. Well, yeah, 8. I did 8 miles. That'll do. Hey, thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for having me, Ed. Cool.